Picture the inner wall of a healthy artery. It is not a dead, smooth pipe like a gutter. It is lined with a layer of living, watchful cells called the endothelium, thin as a veil yet intelligent. That veil decides what gets through and what stays out, keeps the blood flowing, calms inflammation down. As long as the endothelium is intact, the wall is a fortress. The plaque we call atherosclerosis always begins with a crack in that fortress. Let us walk through how it forms, step by step, because understanding the mechanism changes everything. The first act is damage to the endothelium. Not a single blow, but a slow wearing away. High blood pressure that hammers the veil with every beat. The irritating substances in tobacco smoke. Excess sugar that, when it lingers too long in the blood, makes the walls stiff and inflamed. And a low background inflammation, silent, smoldering in the body for years. Each of these scratches the endothelium, makes it less slippery, stickier, more porous. The fortress gets its first crack. Second act. Traveling in the blood are the particles that carry cholesterol, above all the ones called LDL. Usually they pass right by. But where the endothelium is damaged and porous, some of these particles slip inside the wall and get trapped there, because the irritated wall holds them back instead of letting them leave. The smaller and denser the particles, the more easily they enter. This is why what matters is not only how much cholesterol there is, but how many atherogenic particles circulate. A consensus published in the Journal of Clinical Lipidology in 2024 proposes counting them with a marker called a POB, considering it more informative than the LDL value alone. The guidelines still keep LDL as the primary target. Third act, and it is crucial. The particles trapped in the wall do not stay intact. In that irritated environment, they oxidize. They change chemically, they deteriorate, they become something the body no longer recognizes as a friend. Oxidized LDL is the true alarm signal. It is not cholesterol in itself that triggers the defense, but cholesterol damaged by oxidation. Fourth act, the rescuers arrive. The endothelium, sensing the alarm, calls in the immune system. From the blood come cells called monocytes, which cross the wall and once inside, transform into larger, hungrier cells, the macrophages. Their job is to clean up, to devour whatever is wrong. Fifth act, and here the defense turns against those who mount it. The macrophages throw themselves on the oxidized LDL and devour it. But they eat so much of it that they swell with fat, grow heavy, lose the ability to move. Under the microscope, they look full of tiny bubbles, foamy. That is why they are called foam cells. They are the heart of the nascent plaque. Sixth act. Thousands of these foam cells pile up side by side beneath the endothelium, forming a small yellowish streak, the fatty streak. It is the very first visible sign of atherosclerosis, and it is striking to learn that it appears early in life, long before it causes the slightest trouble. For years it stays silent. Seventh act. The body tries to contain the damage. The smooth muscle cells, which normally sit in the deeper layers of the wall and give it tone, migrate towards the surface and begin producing fibers, a kind of scaffolding. Over the deposit, they build a sturdy roof, the fibrous cap. It is an attempt at repair. The wall walls off the fire behind a barrier. And here comes the point that changes how we think about the disease. A plaque with a thick, robust, fibrous cap is a stable plaque. It may narrow the vessel, but it is well walled off. It sits there. It rarely causes sudden trouble. A plaque with a thin, fragile cap, swollen with inflamed fat under a weak roof, is an unstable, vulnerable plaque. And it can be small, narrowing the vessel very little, and yet be the most dangerous of all. Eighth act, the one that makes the difference between a quiet life and a catastrophe. The thin cap of a vulnerable plaque can rupture. When it does, the inflamed contents of the plaque come into contact with the blood, and the blood does what it knows how to do when facing a wound. It clots. A thrombus forms, a plug, which in a few minutes can close the artery. If it happens in a coronary, it is a heart attack. If it happens in a vessel of the brain, it is a stroke. It is not usually the slow narrowing that kills, but that sudden rupture. This is why inflammation and the vulnerability of the plaque matter more than the mere degree of narrowing. A calm, walled-off plaque, even a wide one, forgives. An inflamed, fragile plaque betrays you all at once. The enemy is not so much the caliber of the pipe as the fire smoldering beneath the roof. At this point, the question that has divided cardiovascular medicine for decades returns. Is cholesterol the cause of all this, or a spectator? The position of the great cardiology societies is that atherogenic particles are necessary fuel. Without them entering and oxidizing, the plaque does not grow. The critical voice observes instead that the process begins with an endothelium already damaged and inflamed, and that cholesterol arrives afterward, drawn to the scene the way firefighters arrive after the fire has broken out. Finding it inside the plaque does not prove it lit the blaze. The mature truth probably lies in between, and you have seen it in the mechanism. The particles are a real part of the process. They end up inside, they oxidize, they feed the foam cells. But what throws the door open is the damage: pressure, smoke, sugar, background inflammation. Without that first crack, the particles would pass right by. The right question then is not only how much cholesterol there is, but what is wounding the wall. One thing must be said plainly, here as elsewhere. Where statins truly help, they help. After a heart attack, in someone who has already had an event, in someone born with familial hypercholesterolemia, the evidence is robust, and no one should stop a medication on their own. If something sparks a question, take it to your doctor. So there is a fire beneath the roof. In the next chapter, we will leave the wall and follow another trail. How, over the years, the thresholds that decide who is sick have shifted.